Hey, and welcome to Love Lake Norman and our online worship experience. My name's Ethan. I'm super glad that you guys are here with us. Love Lake Norman is a church that exists to help people find and follow Jesus. And so wherever you find yourself in your faith journey, we're super glad that you're checking this video out. We are in the Christmas spirit here at Love Lake Norman, and we're excited to celebrate Christmas with you as we are in week 3 of our Christmas series called A Lake Norman Christmas. We hope that you love today's worship experience.
Merry Christmas, Love Lake Norman. Will you sing with me? Angels we have heard all night, sweetly singing o'er the plains and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyous strain. And come to Bethlehem and see Christ whose birth the angels sing. Come adore on bended knee Christ the Lord, the newborn King. Gloria, 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 in Chelsea's day, oh. Gloria, 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 in Chelsea's day, oh. See him in a manger lay, whom the choirs of angels praise. Mary, Joseph, lend your aid, while our hearts in love we raise. Gloria, 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 in Chelsea's day, oh. Gloria, 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 in Chelsea's day, oh. The angels we have heard on high, the mountains tremble in reply. The angels we have heard on high, oh, the mountains tremble in reply, yeah. Gloria, 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 in Chelsea's day, oh. Gloria, 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 in Chelsea's day, oh. What child is this who laid to rest on Mary's lap is sleeping, whom angels greet with anthems sweet, while shepherds watch our keeping. This is Christ the King, whom shepherds guard and angels sing. Haste to bring him Lord, the babe, the Son of Mary. So bring him incense, gold and of Kings salvation brings. Let loving hearts enthroned Him. There accesses Christ the King, whom shepherds guard and angels sing. Haste, haste to bring Him, God, the babe, the Son of Mary. This is Christ the King, whom shepherds guard and angels sing. Haste, haste to bring Him, God, the babe, the Son of Mary. Oh, come adore our King, and glory in the highest, glory in the highest. Oh, come adore our King, and glory in the highest, glory in the highest. Oh, come adore our King, and glory in the highest, glory in the highest. Oh, come adore our King, and glory in the highest, glory in the highest.
Well, it's the Christmas season, and we are so excited to invite you to our Christmas Eve service happening online December 23rd at 7 p.m., December 24th at 2, 4, and 6 p.m. We are having an online service that will be fun, meaningful, and full of hope for you and your entire family. So I would love to invite you to be a part of that with us. Now, every week we take up an offering. Now, we view the offering as an act of worship and as a response to what God has done for us. We never want that to be motivated by obligation or by guilt, but always motivated by joy and by love. And so I would love to invite you to take a step into that. And there's two ways that you can be a part of that. One is our website, lovelkn.org/give, and the other is by texting the dollar amount to 84321. Thank you for your generosity, and we hope that you enjoy today's message.
Well, when my wife was pregnant for the first time, I think when that happens for the first time, you want to try to control everything. And at some point, you realize especially as the dad, as the husband, you're just along for the ride. So if your wife is like sick and she's about to lose it, it is really best in those situations not to say things like, so how are you feeling? What can I do to make it stop? What can I get? Da, 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 da. She is at some point going to probably like slap you in the face and say, you caused this in me. Like, this is your fault. You learn something after you have one kid. Like if she wants a peanut butter, mayonnaise, and pickle sandwich at midnight with a bowl of Rocky Road, you don't tell her no, you just go get it. You are along for the ride. You can't control it. You should never, ever, guys, ever try to control that situation. Most of us live the basis of our lives on the basis of control. We have this idea that if I can control my life, then I can live the life I've always wanted to live. If I can stay in control, I can be at peace. If I can stay in control, bad things won't happen to me. But because it's life, right? It's life. Things happen that we don't expect. And sometimes you can ignore those things that happen and try to pretend like they don't, and they're small enough that you can ignore them away. But other times there are things that happen that you cannot ignore. And in that moment, you have a choice. We have a choice. I can try to control it, or I can just go along for the ride. Now, if you're like me, the problem that happens is that you kind of take that problem on in your head, or whatever happens that you're trying to figure out. And if you're like me, like you try to just figure out the puzzle. You try to solve it. You turn it over and over in your mind like this Rubik's Cube. If you want a visual of what my brain is like when there's a problem going on in my life, it is like this. I am turning this over and over. Even while I could be talking to somebody else, my brain is like on the problem, trying to figure it out, trying to fix it, trying to control it, trying to make it better. But there's certain things, like I said, that you cannot control. And so when they enter your lives, you can do one of two things. You can spin out of control when you realize you can't be in control. These things can cause you just to lose control, spin out of control when you realize you can't be in control. Or they can cause you to let go of your tight grip and accept that I'm actually not in control and enjoy the wonder of it all. There was someone introduced to our world who caused that very issue for the people in his day and really for us too. Jesus is the divine ultimate interruption, one that you can't ignore, you can't look away from, you can't solve him like a puzzle, you can't just put him in your pocket and control him. Everyone he came into contact with, when you read the Gospels, the stories of Jesus, everything and everyone he came into contact with was forced to either respond with, I'm going to attempt to control him and control this situation because I'm afraid of what he might do, or they responded with wonder. It was one of those two things, and nowhere was that more evident. And especially as we're in this Christmas series and coming to the conclusion in a few days, nowhere was this more evident than in the story of Herod and the Magi, Herod and the wise men. Here's how it starts. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea, during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him." When King Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all of Jerusalem with him. So King Herod and the Magi have this interaction. Now, Herod was known as Herod the Great, and he ruled over Judea from about 37 to 4 BC, and he did some things that were pure evil. But if anything, when we think about Herod, we know Herod was a survivor. That's just who he was. When civil war broke out in the Roman Empire between Mark Antony and Octavian, basically Herod at first sided with Antony, but when Octavian began to win, and he did in fact win, Herod switched sides immediately, and somehow he convinced Octavian that he was loyal to him, and so he gained his trust, and he therefore maintained order, and he protected the whole western flank of the Roman Empire. That was King Herod's job, but he also had a really bad habit of killing family members who suspected him of who he suspected of conspiracy. And so some of the family members that fell to that, 2 wives, 3 sons, and a mother-in-law, all of them met that same fate. When he suspected them of conspiracy against him, he had them killed. Now, on the other hand, with Herod, he tried to be the protector of Judaism. Like, he didn't eat pork, just like the Jews. He tried to be king of the Jews, even though they never accepted him. Now, above all else, he did everything he could to protect his throne and protect his power. King Herod's life was all about control. And then the wise men come along. The Magi is what the scriptures call them, and they're mysterious. We don't know a lot about them, but here's what we do know, that they were probably Persian or Arabian astrologers. They studied the stars, and then they attached religious meaning to the stars' movement. So what we know about them is this, that these guys were seekers. We don't even know if they were 3. We talk about 3 wise men. The only reason we say that is because we know that they were 3 gifts that they gave, but there could have been multiple wise men. But we know this, that they were seekers, that they did everything they could to seek after God. We also know this, they were willing to travel a long way and find answers to their questions. They were willing to go along a long journey and ask questions, and they were wanting to do anything to find the answers to why that star was there in the first place. And the third thing we know about them is this, that when they found what they were looking for, they were ready to give themselves to it. When they found what they were looking for, they were ready to give themselves to it. There's an irony in this, isn't there, that these pagan astrologers who weren't Jewish, they had come to worship the Jewish Messiah. And the one who called himself King of the Jews, Herod, he was disturbed, is what the scriptures say. And as we'll soon see, he only wants to destroy the Messiah. And what we're going to discover is this, and this is the question and the challenge I want to give to you today. You can choose wonder, or you can choose control, but you can't choose both. You can choose either wonder in your life or control, but you cannot have both. Here's how the story continues. When he called together all the people's chief priests and teachers of the law, he asked them, Herod did, where the Messiah was to be born. In Bethlehem in Judea, they replied, for this is what the prophet has written. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, for out of you will come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel. So Herod calls the religious leaders together and he wants to know some information from them. Now, I would say this, if Herod was honestly searching for the Messiah, if he had already been searching for the Messiah himself, he would probably already know the answer to that question. The Messiah was supposed to be born in Bethlehem. If you were a student of the scriptures, you knew that. And instead, Herod pretends to be interested, but he has other reasons. Then Herod called the Magi secretly, and he found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem, and he said, go and search carefully for the child. As soon as you find him, report to me so that I too may go and worship him. So Herod gets them all together. He doesn't want the Jewish leaders to hear what he's telling the Magi. He pulls the wise men, the Magi together. He says, go to Bethlehem. Here's what I want you to do. Go there, and as soon as you find the Messiah, as soon as you find him, as soon as you find the one you're looking for, I want to know. Let me know where he is, because, hey, I want to go worship him too. So pretending to be religious is probably just about one of the worst things that you can do. We live in the South here, in the Bible Belt, and pretending to be religious is almost like a pastime. It's what you do. But Jesus has little time and very little patience for the people who did that. So after they heard the king, they went on their way. And the star they had seen when it rose went ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and they worshiped him. Then they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. This journey that the wise men were on, we should all model this journey. We should all model it. First is this, they prioritized their search for God. They prioritized that above all else, above all their comforts. They could have stayed where they were. I'm sure they were very comfortable and had a great life where they came from. But no, they decided to take a journey. They decided that whatever the cost, I'm going to prioritize my search for God. Would you do that right now? Would you do that today? Would you do that this Christmas season? Prioritize your search for God above all else. And when they found the Messiah, you know what they did? The second thing is this: they gave sacrificially. These were expensive, costly gifts that they put at Jesus' feet. They prioritized their search for God, then they gave sacrificially. And then this, it's just an observation, but it's one I want to draw your attention to today. And if you don't hear anything else today, would you please just hear this? Their wonder was greater than their worry. I want to ask you today, how's your worry when compared to your wonder? Their wonder over Jesus, the Messiah, who he was, and finding him and going on that great, exciting journey was greater than their worry about Herod, their worry about their own safety, their worry about anything else in their lives. And the story concludes in Matthew chapter 2 like this: and having been warned in a dream not to go back to Herod, they returned to their country by another route. Christmas growing up in my house is something that I think about a lot, and I know that you guys do too. It's such a time, Christmas is, of nostalgia, of remembering what life was like when we were kids. My mom and dad created this really special place in our house. I just think about all the food, the decorations, the Christmas morning with my brother and sister rushing in to see our presents, the stockings that were filled with candy, and we got like fruit in ours too. I don't know if you did too. We got fruit in our stocking, but all of that to me, when I think about it, feels like home. It feels like this amazing place. As kids, we had this wonder all around us, and it was this idea that there was something bigger around us that we were taking part of that was full of joy and full of love. What would it look like for you? And it doesn't have to be nostalgic or anything like that. You don't have to go back physically to any certain location. What does it look like for you to let your wonder be greater than your worry this year? What does that look like for you to approach Christmas with more wonder than worry? How much are you worried right now about small things, big things in your life? Often that can just take over the wonder and push out any possibility of wonder in our life. But if that happens, we're going to miss it. Let me encourage you this season, today even, to approach Christmas with more wonder and less worry, more joy and less control. And one way to start doing that is simply this. It's simply to pray. And I want to give you a prayer to pray with me today. And as you're listening or watching, you can say this out loud with me, or you can just say it to God in your heart. But would you pray something like this? God, help me replace my worry with wonder. Help me recognize that Jesus is a gift that makes my life make sense and gives me joy that can't be taken away. God, help me replace my worry with wonder. And as you do that, as we invite God into not only our world around us, but into our hearts, into our lives, you know what he automatically begins to do? He begins to take the anxiety and the fear and the worry that we have in his hand. He picks them up and he says, let me take that problem from you. I can solve it better than you can. And he replaces that worry with wonder. That's my hope and my prayer for you this Christmas season.
Thank you so much for joining us today for our online worship experience. We hope that you found it hopeful and helpful. We would love, love, love to invite you to join us for our Christmas Eve service. Once again, December 23rd at 7 p.m. and December 24th at 2, 4, and 6 p.m. Have a great day and a Merry Christmas.